We are live here at home plate with Softball Manitoba. It's one of those days. Don Klym is actually in the office today. Don, how are you doing this fine, beautiful minus 35-degree day talking about softball?
It's the season that never ends, basically. Now it's been great. So good to be in the office, back at work, and getting things done as always.
Always. You see, it's a 12-month sport. Just like many of the sports, there is really no off-season. Softball.nb.ca, where you will find all of the updates and the highlights. And one of the big, it's not really a big change, but it's more of a definition, Don, like you mentioned off air, about the Softball Manitoba Regional Development Program. Explain what that means for softball this upcoming season.
Oh, for sure. It's been worked on for the last few years. Through the help of our A organizations, which are now called AAA organizations, as well as our what we've called in the past our B minor leagues, are now identified as A minor league ball. And we're trying to get everyone working together just to improve softball in the province as a whole. And how we've got that outlined is we've cut the province up into 8 regions, 4 rural, 4 urban. So the urban boundaries, that's split into 4 different areas, and they're based on the 4 AAA organizations, which are Smitty's, Lightning, Thunder, and the Angels, and then the 4 rural AAA organizations, the Interlake Phillies, Westman Magic, Central Energy, and Eastman Wildcats. So between those 8, we've got a pretty good minor league system in each, and like I want to just keep going back to B League, which is now called A League, as long as everyone can follow that. The old A's are now AAA and the B's are A. So every kid's an A ball player with the intentions or hopes and dreams of being a AAA ball player and moving on from there to who knows what, college, national, Olympics, whatever. But the way it works is we hope to marry up each organization with a strong minor league, and between that, the developing ball players will come up into those AAA organizations and represent, the region they come from, whether it's Interlake, whether it's the corner of the city that they identify with. And we, by that, we hope to tighten up coaching and player development programs in each of those regions, so coaches and organizations can dedicate their time to players as they move up the ladder, just as many of the other sports have done over the past several years.
One of those things I have to ask about those boundaries, is this 4 city teams strictly the city limit teams? I mean, there's a lot of, small towns, municipalities that kind of go inside and outside the province, East St. Paul being one of them, Headingley being another, Oak Bank, perhaps St. Anne's, Stonewall. I mean, these are all communities that are within a 15-minute drive. So, I mean, how does that affect these ball players that may have, in terms of numbers? I mean, you have a certain number of players that are able to play in a certain catchment, but what if, a neighboring boundary is lacking a couple of numbers? How does that affect those upcoming players this upcoming season as well?
Great questions. We've had these. I've had them answered or asked several times. I should be able to answer them in a snap. If we've caught it basically at where you vote, we've gone on the electoral boundaries, and it's basically where you vote. That's where you're playing, and so far it's worked out good. There are a few clauses. If a team or organization needs to fill a spot, they can make a special request to our minor directors, and basically we're finding a path for every player to play in. I know sometimes it sounds a little odd why I can see my neighbor across the street and she's playing in Steinbach and I'm playing in my backyard here in Winnipeg. But that's just the way we had to draw a line somewhere, and this is the best way we do it. Similar to what other sport organizations are doing.
Now, the change of A ball, the AAA ball, B ball to A ball, does that coincide with what other provincial groups in softball are doing? Are they going towards that AAA, A ball categories as well?
Yes, a lot of the as teams over, like especially with COVID, a lot of registrations have split in half, or we've lost almost, some sports have lost 30% of their membership, or even worse. We were pretty lucky. While we maintained 50% of our membership, teams advancing or attending provincial championships, we had 60 to 70% of those teams returning. So we're hopefully getting all those back, and just through a lot of hard work, we'll pave that way for them.
So that mapping, that boundary is available on the softball.nb.ca website right now?
Absolutely, yeah. And again, our 8 AAA organizations have been so helpful, not only with us, but moving back to their parents and players and getting the word out. And as anything that's new, it's going to take a few years to implement and solidify and have everyone confident and just show what we can reap out of it.
Have we been able to see still that, the players that are aging out, are they still getting the awareness and the recognition and to playing the next level should they desire this upcoming fall? Or are we starting to see, teams kind of holding off, saying maybe we have to develop these players a little bit more? Have we given them enough exposure?
Yeah.
How have you seen those numbers work thus far during this pandemic?
Again, more exposure. The more exposure we can do, the better. And now, with the help of our AAA organizations helping us spread the word, not only through their region, but throughout the rest of the communities, that didn't have softball before, maybe we can get those girls and guys involved. It's just, the more help we can get and the more word out there and the safer it becomes outside, I think the closer we get to normalcy again in our sport.
Certainly one of the sports that was able to perform during last summer, softball Manitoba holding the provincials, the only province to hold softball provincial championships, correct?
Correct. Across Canada.
Right? As long as I said that right. I want to make sure I said that right.
We're proud of that. And again, that was all without our membership following our return to play guidelines, and our wonderful hosts and host committees hosting our championships and policing all of the rules and guidelines that we had to, and the teams and players, coaches following that, and our officials. It worked out to, that we had a really safe season. We had one event where we had to move last minute, and that was, in the long run, a success, I guess, for our province included in the provincial championships, just that we got it in. And again, the 2 communities involved in moving that event worked with us well. So again, it was just thanks to everyone that in the softball world that allowed us to be the only province in Canada to host provincial championships. And in that, we hosted 18. So it was a lot of work, but it was well worth it.
Absolutely. It's great to see, sports being played by, youngsters, especially with not only their physical opportunities, but also their mental health taken care of as well, because we've seen so much more presently how sports being canceled has affected the mental well-being of a lot of not just players, but the parents and the officials and everyone that's around surrounding the sports.
Exactly.
So, Don, what's on the agenda? We're still planning. Is the season looking like it could start on time, considering we still have a little bit of snow on the ground? What's the next couple of months looking like for softball Manitoba and its preparing? I know we can't get to the Sport for Life building. I can't show you my right-sided swing as opposed to my left-sided swing like last year. So what are we going to do instead?
Well, all we can do is whatever the province allows us to. We follow the health orders to a T, and, through the guidance of Sport Manitoba and Softball Canada and our own membership, we'll open when it's safe to open, and we'll compete as we can. Currently, we're scheduled as we were last year. Western Canadians are scheduled as per usual as our Canadian championships, and we'll just follow health guidelines, and hopefully we can get a season in.
We look forward to hopefully seeing that season. When is the start date here in Manitoba?
Well, teams are probably itching to get indoors. A lot of our AAA organizations would, now that there's one-on-one coach player, they'll probably schedule as soon as they can get in. And then it's dependent on Manitoba Health again and what the climate is like, what our weather's like. Hopefully mid-April we'll be throwing the ball around outdoors.
So hopefully seeing the ball thrown around outdoors for sure. Indoors, we'll work on the swings. We'll work on some of the mechanics, of course, on the one-on-one developments. Don, thanks for joining me. look forward to kind of chatting with you next month or two and kind of see where we're at, and hopefully some restrictions lifted, some protocols changed, and we get to see the youngsters back in some competitive play sooner than later.
For sure. Thanks for the opportunity, Theo. Take care.
Always At Home Plate with Softball Manitoba's Don Klym. Check us out on ASTV as well, their website, softball.mb.ca, for all the updates and the new boundaries that we've just talked about. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of the day, and we will see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.